inside our studios here are Kay and Larry Woodcocks, the grandparents, and who cared for J.J. Vallow after J.J. was born, before Kay's brother Charles Vallow and his then wife Lori adopted J.J. in 2013. And I want to thank you both for being here. I spoke to you earlier in the green room, and I did tell you you were idols of mine. But Kay, I really have an interesting question that I've wanted to know. I'm sure there were many sleepless nights. I'm sure both of you suffered tremendously thinking about JJ and also Tylee, because you're just that kind of, they're wonderful people. But the first time, Kay, you heard that guilty being said, the first guilty, what was your initial reaction?
Then I could take a small breath and then each guilty after that, I just was getting more and more excited and just more like, oh my God, it's happening. It's really happening.
After so long.
After all this time.
And Larry, because I know you couldn't be in the courtroom for a lot, well, initially for the trial until there was testimony from you, because the court didn't find you were a grandparent. So I want to have your thoughts on that and how we can change the criminal justice system, because as far as I'm concerned, both of you are grandparents. It doesn't have to be biological, as you know. I want your thoughts on that and what we can do to change that.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You know, the law, to me, we're a parent. We're just called a grandparent. Every one of my grandchildren, I have 16 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness.
I have 8 great-grandchildren, and I love them. And I think every grandparent, you know, people ask us often, one of the first questions, how do we do this? Mm-hmm. My response is, who wouldn't do this? And as a grandparent, that's what we're supposed to do. We love our children. We love our grandkids. We love our great-grandkids. And I just feel like that in the laws of our country, the grandparents do have a right to be there, to be involved. And I think there's some laws that need to be changed, and we're certainly asking for some of these changes. And I just think it's only right. Why would a court system not be willing to listen to the grandparents? We raised our children. We raised our grandchildren. You know, we raise our great-grandchildren. So give the grandparents the right they deserve without being punished by a court system, by state laws that need to be changed and need to be addressed, so that we have fair and equity and righteous in our court systems as far as the grandparents are involved in it.
I see your emotion. I see your emotion, Kay. You were lucky enough. You had such support from Larry. Tell us, what kept both of you, though, going? And were there times that both of you would fall apart? What was the lowest time that each one of you, Kay, needed help from the other?
There were many low times that we just, it's hard to explain. Just that knowing that he is right there with me was huge. I could have never done this without him. I mean, he has just been so supportive. And I mean, anytime I would fall apart, he would always be right there, and he would just be very stoic. And then when he falls apart, I am the stoic one, and we just, a few times we've broken down together, and he's a great support, and I can't imagine doing this without him.
So, Larry, can you give me what you remember the time that you felt Kay, who you obviously love tremendously, and JJ, who you love tremendously, and Tylee, who you love tremendously. I'm including her in this. The lowest point that you felt that this was never going to come to a conclusion of a guilty verdict in court?
You know, in thinking back, I guess one of the hardest days for Kay and I together, and one of the lowest points, was the day we got a call from one of the detectives, and he advised us prior to finding the children's bodies that law enforcement really felt like the children were no longer with us. I remember we were sitting in the living room, and that was it. We wouldn't accept it because we had not found the bodies. We had not found the children.
Yeah, we both fell apart.
That was probably our hardest day.
It was like, no, until they find them, we're not accepting
We're
this.
not accepting it.
And that was in December of 2019, and it was in June of 20 when they found them. So all that time, it was like, no, we've refused to accept it, and we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine there were many nights of non-sleeping, of crying, but JJ is somebody who you adore, Tylee, obviously also, but I'd like you to tell our viewers a couple things. What does JJ's life mean to the world? Because people want to look at a child who live and say, oh, goodness gracious, I want my kids to be like that, or I want to be able to raise a child like JJ, and Tylee also.
He had a heart, just a huge heart. He was very kind and compassionate, and he was just getting his little personality of, 7 years old, they're coming into themselves, and he had a very good sense of humor, and I believe that Charles got instilled that in him, because Charles would always do the corny jokes. And so,
like what?
JJ,
like what?
I'm putting me on the spot. I can't think of one right now.
I'm sorry. If you do, you could always interrupt.
But he was just a fun kid to be around, and just he had to be watched a little closer than most kids. But he was in his own space at our home, and our neighbors all knew him, and he was just a little, a lot of autistic children are not social. They have to be, social skills have to be worked on. But JJ just, he had early intervention, and he learned to look people in the eye and to acknowledge them, hi or bye or whatever. And he was just a fun little kid to be around. And he loved music, and he loved playing the drums, although they weren't real drums, just a 5-gallon bucket and some utensils, the wooden utensils out of the drawer.
Folk music, the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you obviously have gone over what happened in your minds, both of you, a lot. Were there early warning signals that you could tell those out there, parents who may be worried, that they should look for? And Larry, I'll start with you first. That they should look for if they think that one of a family member, a child especially, could be in danger from their mother, their father, their loved one.
Yep. If you can't trust a mother and a father to care for something so special, how do you trust it? So the way you have to do it, in hindsight, that I would recommend to anybody in a situation similar to ours: sign documents, sign documents, sign documents. Get a good lawyer, draft documents that all parties have to sign, that if there is ever a situation where a child, a grandchild, a great-grandchild is in similar situation to ours that gives you, the grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a right to step in and say, I don't like the way this is going. This is wrong. There is something not right. I told Kay in 2017, I felt like that there was an issue. But if you saw Lori and Charles, and especially Charles,
Brother.
Kay's brother, if you saw the interactions between Charles and JJ and Lori at the beginning, you would have never assumed there would have ever been a single issue. But I told her in 2017, there's something not right with this relationship. And Kay, being the grandmother, said, oh no, JJ is simply a handful. Well, he is a handful, but as
A lovable handful.
oh
Yeah.
my God, you just don't have any idea. So as a grandparent now, looking back, I would have found better ways to protect JJ. And so that at the first sign of any trouble, the first sign that the policeman went to Lori's apartment and she lied straight face to law enforcement, that should have been a red flag. We should have been notified immediately, and we should have been able to been on a plane. I'll charter a plane. I'd have been up there as quick as I could have got a plane. And to be with JJ and to protect JJ. And so I think now, if I had the ability to do this over, there's changes that I would have absolutely assured that we as grandparents would have had.
You know, it's so difficult even looking at you, but you know, you're holding hands. I want to show our viewers. Look at your holding hands, because this question really goes to that. You have the sentencing that's coming up of Lori Vallow Daybell. You have the trial in Arizona where she has been indicted for conspiracy to murder Brandon Boudreaux. You have the trial for conspiracy for your brother, right? Who also is a victim not to be forgotten here. What are you going to do to get through that? You've gone through 4 years, but even with the handheld, even with the strength you have, do you have another support system? What are your plans to try to get through? How are you going to do it?
We are driven and we have a mission, and we just accomplished part of it with Lori's trial being over. Next will be her sentencing. I guess it'll be in August, and we'll be there for that. Then I don't know whose trial will be next, if it'll be Chad's trial in Idaho or Lori's trial for the death of my brother, for the murder of my brother Charles in Arizona.
Right.
So we will be there. We are driven, and we won't let it rest until everything is put to bed, and that means them tucked away in prison, and wherever we need to be, whatever we need to do, we do it.
Yeah, and you're going to be there with an angel on each one of your shoulder, and that's both of you. But stay with me, because we're going to take a quick break here at Law&Crime Network, and when we come back, we'll have more with Kay and Larry Woodcock and how they are coping with the guilty verdict and still grieving the deaths of their grandchildren, or their grandchild JJ and Tylee Ryan, who they also loved, as you can see, with all their hearts. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Law&Crime Network. I'm Linda Kenney Baden, and joining me in the studio are two very special guests. You know them well, and that is Kay Woodcock and Larry Woodcock, the grandparents of JJ Vallow. And as they told me during break, to say also of Tylee Ryan, because they are grandparents in all senses of the world and how they cared for these children and loved these two children. Now Lori Vallow has been, as you know, convicted of their murders. But let me ask you this, Kay, there's other cases out there, and obviously your brother's murder case is one of them. Is there anything else you think law enforcement should be doing? Is there any unanswered questions that you have concerning, for instance, maybe the death of Lori's second husband?
The death of her third husband, Joe Ryan,
that's
yes,
what I should say,
very
third husband, thank you.
suspicious. But they, as far as I know, they looked at it again. They revisited that investigation, and they came up with the same answer, and that was that there was no foul play. But everybody believes there is, including us.
And you're the closest to it to understand about it. And, you know, we heard the name Alex Cox, who's now dead. He's the brother of Lori Vallow. You obviously met him at some point.
Several times.
He appeared to be, from my view, the hit person and all this, the hitman for her. Why? Why? Is that ever, have you ever been able to answer that question? Why he would do this to the children?
Some going through something like this, you just have to, you can't get answers. You can't understand. There's many things we don't understand in this, and that we never will be able to, because who can get in the mind of Lori Daybell?
Who wants to?
Exactly. And it takes time and energy from you, and it's not a positive thing. So I don't, I just don't try. There's just some things you can't understand in life, and it's okay, because this is so horrific. You just can't. A normal mind cannot comprehend what's happened.
And that's why I say to you, just, you're my heroes. And Larry, are you going to be interested in the next little clip we're going to play for our viewers? It's about you. It's about you and JJ. Let's listen.
Welcome to Coastal Crew Change.
Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night, the party's over.
You need to go on American Idol.
Johnny, yes, Papa.
But you gotta do the Coastal Crew Change.
And welcome to Coastal Crew Change. Welcome to the Coastal Crew Change.
Larry, I have a big smile on my face watching that. I mean, it doesn't take the place of the tragedy. But what do you plan to do to honor JJ and Tylee's lives? Because I don't want to say their deaths, their lives in the future. Because I know I can just see your mind has been thinking all the way through this interview.
Thank you for playing.
You're
that.
very welcome.
It's probably one of my most favorite
Videos, yeah.
videos. You know, what you see there is JJ. That is purest. He was a good boy, and Papa loved him so much. What we have to do is to remind ourselves that sometimes these special needs children like JJ are placed inside of a little box. But once you open that box and you allow them to be children, this is what you get. And JJ was only with us for a few short years, but I think he has left such an impressionable, so much love for so many people. Kay and I get Kay and I get so much from people around the world that say, I've got a special needs child. And we love you for the way you treat JJ. I wish that you were my child's or my grandchild's pawpaw. And that means so much, because I don't know what it is about my personality. I have friends with special needs children, and the children will come to me sometimes, and the moms and the dads will say, he doesn't do this, or she doesn't do this with anybody else. And just love them.
That's love.
And
love.
just take care of them, cherish them, because they may be a little bit different, but they are so powerful. The love that they present and they give can simply not be matched. You can't. I am telling you right now, I've got 16 wonderful grandchildren. I've got 8 great grandchildren. But until you have the love of a special needs child, it's just amazing. It really is.
Maybe, Larry, it's because you give so much love. It's just emanating from you right now, as it's also emanating from Kay. I mean, I can just feel it in the studio. I mean, I can feel it. It just, the two of you. I mean, show them your hands again, because I'm here watching you holding hands, and the two. So Kay,
I know we are kind of old to be holding hands.
No, you're not. Love is love at any age.
Let me tell you, I never drive, and Kay, when we're driving together, she always puts her hand on the console, or she puts her hand over mine. And that's what life's about. Our lives are short.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time here. So love who you're with. Just enjoy your time.
And thank
love
you.
your children.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
You know, just take time for each other.
And Kay, let me ask you this. You're listening to your husband. You sat in the trial. You have more to go. Is there a feeling that you have never expressed out loud to anyone that is something that you're saying, I have to say it, but haven't?
Well, I can say no, that's no, because when I think or feel something, I say it.
Good for you.
Sometimes it's not real appropriate, but I do. If I'm thinking it, I'm very genuine, and if I'm thinking it, or I'm going to say it. But I mean, I can never really express the pain and anguish and
No, you can't.
And just truly reveal to anyone the journey we've been on that's taken so long and has taken over our lives. But it's a journey that I don't think it's ever ending.
Ever.
It'll never end. But we have work to do. We're going to form a 501c3, a foundation for and memorialize JJ and Tylee and Charles. And what that looks like yet, we're not exactly sure. I've taken one bite at a time, and the first bite was Lori in this trial. So next I can start weaving and starting to get started on the forming a foundation and moving forward with memorializing their legacies.
Well, speaking about moving forward, some people say that you can't move forward until you forgive. Is there any room for forgiveness in this case of Lori Vallow Daybell?
For me, not right now. I really don't give her too much energy. I don't. but yet, have I forgiven her? No. But I know eventually I need to, for myself. It's got nothing to do with her. So forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to like them, or you have to hang around with them, or even have them in your life. But it's just about saving my soul, and that's what forgiveness is about. So,
yeah, you're just amazing to me, both of you. I'm so glad we met you. I know through the media everybody has met you, and I hope that at least it's been a positive experience getting out the story of JJ and of Tylee, and what love and two fabulous grandparents can do to make sure that justice is garnered. And I want to thank you for being here with me, and hopefully you'll come back someday.
Thank you for
It's
having us.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
It's just so wonderful. And again, the Woodcocks, Kay and Larry, we're all in awe of their strength here. And we know that they have a lot to go in the future. But in remembrance of JJ and Tylee, we thank them for being here and showing their love to the world about their kids, their grandkids, and what love really is. Stay with us. We're the Law&Crime Network.